It's the show that you asked for. It's Keeping It Real Sports. I'm the boy. I'm the real sports guy. He is the Sandman, Andy Sanzada. Sandman, talk to me.
Steve Taylor, busy week in the world of professional sports. We got a lot to get into, so let's get it started with the quick hitters.
Oh, man, you ready to quick hit already, man? Let's get right into it, man. Let's get it. Without further ado, let's get into the quick hitters. Quick hitters.
Oh, man, I woke up like Christmas morning this morning, Steve. I can't wait for tonight, man.
Why is that?
It is my favorite year in favorite month of the year in WWE. You know why? Because it's Royal Rumble Saturday, baby. Check it out. It's going to be epic tonight. We've got a match 20 years in the making with these two guys, the history between them and their past with the MMA. A lot of people have been waiting to see this. It's finally going to happen in a WWE ring. Brock Lesnar, the current WWE champion, against Bobby Lashley. And then we've got the longest reigning Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, the head of the table, against Seth friggin' Rollins. Rollins and Reigns used to be a faction together known as the Shield a few years back, but now they're going to go head-to-head. And Rollins has never lost to Roman Reigns, so keep an eye on that tonight. But then the most exciting part of all, you know how every year they always bring celebrities into the Royal Rumble, right?
Absolutely.
Well, this jackass is going to be in the Royal Rumble this year. That's right, Johnny Knoxville, folks, is in the Royal Rumble to help promote the Jackass Forever movie coming out later this week. But I have a feeling it's going to be really entertaining to watch him get his ass kicked tonight. So I can't wait, Steve. And like I said, I'm like a kid on Christmas morning.
Well, look here, man. My quick hitter has to go back, man, to the divisional playoffs just this past weekend and looking at two legend quarterbacks that could be retiring. When you talk about Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, I mean, we could have actually seen his last game in a Green Bay Packer uniform. And not only that, the GOAT. We may have seen Tom Brady walk off the field for the last time in his career. Man, I mean, just imagine that. Imagine the quarterback situation in the NFC if those two dudes are no longer there. Something to think about.
Yeah, it's the first time in 12 years, Steve, we've had an NFC championship without either Rodgers or Tom Brady. Unbelievable that it could all be coming to an end. Well, I got one more for you here. This is quite the feat, okay? I talk all the time about how tough these guys are in the NHL, right? Well, it doesn't get any tougher than this now. The new Iron Man of the NHL, Keith Yandel, 965 consecutive regular season games earlier this week, currently with the Philadelphia Flyers. It's only the fourth team he's been with, Steve, so to do that without traveling throughout multiple teams throughout your career, and keep in mind, he's a defenseman. He's laying down, taking pucks, he's blocking shots, he's getting in the way, he's getting in fights. And for him to be able to do that, just a remarkable feat for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. My other quick hitter, man, it's got to be, man, Sean Payton. I mean, just walking away from the New Orleans Saints. But you know something? He said the word, last year, and when you start to say subtle words like satisfied, kind of like Tom Brady said, you kind of walk away. And then when you look at his quarterback room, I mean, look at what he did with Jameis Winston and a running quarterback. I mean, come on, man. I mean, the dude is definitely a quarterback whisperer, and you people in Dallas think that you're going to get him. He's under contract for the next 3 years, man, with New Orleans. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the year he had with, what did he use, 4 or 5 different quarterbacks?
Yeah.
I probably need a year off after having to figure out that many offenses as well. So, and he's had a great career, Steve. I mean, he got Drew Brees a Super Bowl. I think he is a Hall of Fame coach. His record speaks for itself. What he did in that community alone should put him in the Hall of Fame after what happened with Katrina.
So there you go. That's quick hitters. Let's get into the hurry up. Andy, when I looked at doing the hurry up this week, it was all going back to the divisional championship games.
Of course.
So let's just take a look and recap what happened last weekend. This is the hurry up.
For the win. The snap, the put down, the swing of the right leg. Yeah, it's on its way. It is good. Coffin nails.
Bam, bam, bam. That is unbelievable.
We'll try to win it here from 45. Pepper's snap is a little high, pulled down by Wisnowski. Robbie Gold has it away, and it is good. Robbie Gold has kicked the 49ers to victory here at Green Bay.
Matt Gay, with 4 seconds on the clock, will attempt a 30-yard field goal from the left hash. Hits it with the right foot. Kick on its way. It is through. It is good. Matt Gay brings it home. Los Angeles will host the NFC Championship game.
Chiefs first down and goal to go. Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking, right side, he wants it. Comeback. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown, Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelsey on a push fake comeback. And the Chiefs have won this incredible divisional playoff game in overtime.
So Andy, that got me to thinking. In those 4 games, who was to blame? So I wanted to play the Keeping It Real Sports blame game. So let's play the blame game.
Let's play the blame game
with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Andy, when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, despite them winning the football game, Andy, the offensive line gave up 9 sacks. Joe Burrow bailed their asses out. It was the offensive line. It's your fault that your quarterback had to go to heroic heights. That's the problem. That's the blame for that one, Andy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Steve. I mean, they're lucky they got out of that game, really, when you think about it. If it wasn't for a phenomenal rookie kicker, wouldn't we all like to draft a kicker like that, right? I mean, he's just been outstanding all year long,
right?
And Burrow knew he was
called it before he nailed it.
Yep, exactly.
So,
all right, next game. What do you want to take down next?
The Green Bay Packer game. And Andy, when you look at it, you have to start with that guy. His decisions to not trust anybody not named Devontae Adams or Aaron Jones. He did not throw the ball to Aaron. Lazard was wide open on the deep pass that he tried to go on the 9 route that was well covered. Andy, that's your blame right there. And folks, that could be the look of the last time that you see him walk off at Lambeau Field.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you have to wonder if he was in it, right? I mean, I look at the last 2 NFC Championship divisional games and the championship last year. He played.
Come up short.
And he didn't have the Aaron Rodgers that we see in the regular season. I mean, I think
it wasn't MVP Aaron.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, hey, let this one sink in. Aaron Rodgers has just as many Super Bowl championships as Nick Foles.
Yeah. You're right.
Hello.
And he's probably going to win his 4th MVP this year too, which is really disheartening to not see him get a little bit further.
So let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Rams. And the blame game here, man, it goes to Cam Akers. Hold on to the damn ball. He fumbled the ball twice, going in for the touchdown, man, where they could have cemented the win. Going in at halftime, he fumbled it with 1 second. And then to put the game away, he fumbles to give the GOAT, Tom Brady, another chance to make Matt Stafford go into the telephone booth and come out. Andy, Cam Akers, hold on to the ball, man.
Yeah, I mean, and the team fumbled 4 times in the 4th quarter alone, Steve. I mean, as a Rams fan, you had to be, speaking of tickers on the bottom line, you had to be putting your hand over yours that entire 4th quarter. I mean, that was scarier than it had to be. There's no question about that.
It didn't make me happy, but the reason that the Rams went and got and mortgaged all the draft capital to get a Matthew Stafford was shown. Why? Because in case of emergency, break glass situations, that's what happened last week. You need him, and for him, what better way to exercise the ghost?
Yeah.
And in the last game, Andy, I got a lot of calls on this one. Steve, you should do a sound off on this. They need to change the rules of overtime. Andy, the blame game. Call heads. Everybody knows you always call heads. You called tails and came up heads, and you get what you get. I'm sorry, Buffalo fans. I'm sorry. But it is what it is. It's the Roos. ROOS. Roos.
Well, listen, and I had a couple other people reach out to me and say, what do you think of the overtime rules in the NFL? And I don't have a problem with them in the playoffs. In the regular
Stop them. Just let them get anything but a touchdown.
I mean, I don't need to watch 5 hours of football to have somebody play. And then keep in mind, Steve, they have to play another game the following week. So I think the NFL handles the overtime rules just the way they need to be handled.
Let me
it's
say one
Buffalo's
thing.
fault for playing prevent defense the entire fourth quarter.
13 seconds.
Yeah.
13 seconds. The Dallas Cowboys screwed the game up in 14 seconds. This man went the length of the field in 13 seconds and won the game.
Yeah.
And Leslie Frazier and people, I was coming unglued because Leslie Frazier decided to play prevent defense in 13 seconds. And when you play prevent defense, what does that do, Andy? What is the old adage about prevent defense?
It prevents you from winning the game.
And that's why you're sitting at home watching the game.
Well, you and I disagree on one thing in that game. I agree with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. I would not have kicked the ball in the end zone because that would have moved the clock.
I disagree.
That's why I said
you don't put him no closer. You don't even put him. Don't play prevent defense, man.
But here's the thing, though. Don't you think if they had put him closer, maybe they wouldn't have played prevent
Andy,
defense?
go back and look where the second line lined up. They lined up at mid freaking field. You get what you get. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you come in and play a simple base defense, man, you don't allow that to happen.
Well, you played the position, you would know.
And it's just what it is, man.
Yeah.
So, man, hey, look here, man. Let's step aside. We're gonna come back, man. When we come back, I'm gonna give you the BDI top 10 college basketball style. We're gonna do that in a moment. You're watching Keeping It Real Sports. I'm the Real Sports Guy. He's the Sandman. We'll be right back.
Hey, Taylor Rapp here from the LA Rams. Shout out to Steve Taylor, the Real Sports Guy, and the Honorary Ram. When Steve's talks sports, you better listen. Thanks, Steve from the Rams, for your continued support and love. We are taking it all the way this year, but you already know that. Go Rams.
Car won't start? Or maybe your computer needs a new battery. For all your battery needs, it's Batteryland, 2502 Woodville. Call Big John, and he not only offers you best in battery warehouse services, but he also offers services for your auto and your light truck. His prices will not only meet or beat, I said beat, the competition. Batteryland, 2502 Woodville. Give him a call today, 419-691-2000. That's Batteryland, your battery warehouse.
Gorilla Studios is the area's premier recording studio.
419-705-2894.
Offering industry standard producing, mixing, and mastering. We are equipped to record full bands at once. Or for solo artists, we have access to professional musicians who can bring your songs to life. Locally owned and operated here in Toledo, Ohio. We serve all genres of music, major, minor, and indie artists.
419-705-2894.
Gorilla Studios, taking back music one song at a time.
Welcome back. Keeping it real sports. I'm the real sports guy. He is the Sandman. Sandman. Not a lot of movement. I mean, I guess there was some kind of shifting in the BDI top 10, but let's get right into it, man.
All right, Steve, here we go. So, like you said, the same 10 teams are there. We just had some movement because of what happened in the last week. But let's start with number 10. And down one spot, Wisconsin Badgers in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they had a good week, man. Even though, man, they took it on the chin from Michigan State, but they had bounced back, man. This is a very dangerous team, and they're starting to find its footing, Andy. Watch out for the Wisconsin Badgers.
All right, the team that dropped the most this week, Steve, we had the Arizona Wildcats coming in at number 9.
Well, they got bushwhacked by UCLA, and it really wasn't close. UCLA caught them sleeping. They really came out and took it to Arizona. Arizona's body of work is why we still got them in the top 10. We see them at number 9.
And number 8, Purdue keeps falling down, Steve. Keep an eye on this team. They might be out of the top 10 if they keep playing the way they have been the last couple weeks.
Andy, it's called life in the Big Ten. It's just what it is. You got to get used to it. Your better teams in the Big Ten, they're going to get after it, man, and they're going to swing hard. They're going to swing for the fences, man, But this is a very, very good basketball team, and man, they can't be dismissed, man. We've got Purdue at number 8.
And because of their win over number 7, you've got UCLA moving up a couple of spots here as well.
Yeah, you know what? This group, it's not just led by John Juzang. I mean, this group gets after you, man. They took it to Arizona from the opening tip, just slowly climbing up. The Associated Press have them a little bit higher, but I think we have them, man, ranked just about right.
I would agree with that, and I think Mick Cronin's doing a hell of a job with that team as well.
He is, man.
He doesn't get enough credit.
He doesn't, Andy. One thing about them, with a Mick Cronin team, they're going to get after you defensively, and they're going to chest you up and find out really what you have from a physicality standpoint.
Number 6, they just keep moving on up, and with good reason, Kelvin Sampson's got these guys playing excellent basketball.
Well, see, Kelvin Sampson is quietly, man, putting together a powerhouse at Houston, man. I mean, they keep putting players into the NBA. The kid Jarrett, a big time NBA player, man. He keeps putting them in. He's got NBA players on campus now. Look out, Houston Cougars. We got them at 6.
And a big one tonight, Steve. I know you're excited about it. Kansas at number 5 taking on the Associated Press number 12, Kentucky. That's always a fun one, but this one's going to be at the Field House. I like Kansas to win tonight. Oh,
man, this is going to be a great atmosphere, great college atmosphere. Kentucky coming into Kansas. Oh, my gosh, man, the big man for Kansas, man, and I like me some Remy Martin. It's like the Kansas Jayhawks. We got them in number 5.
Still staying within the top 5, but they moved down again this week. The Baylor Bears. Are you concerned at all about this basketball team?
I am not, because just like you have life in the Big Ten, you have life in that conference as well. I mean, Baylor is now everybody's Super Bowl. If you get what I'm saying, they're going to get everybody's best shot. But that's a very athletic group, man, and again, they're the defending national champions. Baylor
and
Bears,
and Aquino, the transfer guard, I think is going to pay off for them come tournament time for sure. Number 3, Duke Blue Devils. They just keep doing what Duke does, Steve.
Yeah, man. I mean, next man up, man. Banchero is one night, man. It's a big fella the next night, man. I mean, Coach K, man, the driver K, man, and company. Duke, very solid, man. A very solid number 3. They've been solid all year in the top 10. I really like this Blue Devil team. But what I'm looking for is the next step as we start to get toward February and we start to get toward March. I'm looking for them to take that next step up.
Well, they took a big step last week. They put a whooping on Syracuse, and a lot of people don't usually make Syracuse look that bad against that zone, but Duke had everything going right in that game last Saturday.
Yeah, the thing about Syracuse and that zone is the length. They really cause a lot of problems. Not a lot of problems for Duke because they have a lot of length as well. Well, let's move to number 2. Number 2 is lot of people call them the number one team in the country, Andy. But you know, to us, to beat the man, you got to beat the man, and they haven't done that. We're not just going to give you number one because someone else lost. That's how it works here, man.
Right.
Auburn, even though they have dudes, and Andy, I mean, they have dudes.
I mean, Steve, well, you can't say enough about Jabari Smith. Every week we talk about him, but that's because he's probably the best player in the country right now.
Could well be. But then the noise around is the coach Bruce Pearl said I could be interested in that Louisville job.
Yeah.
Just
well,
saying.
that was big news this week. Louisville firing Chris Mack. You know, and he, you know, give him credit.
They agreed to part terms.
Yeah, he even said it himself. Look, you got to win games, especially here. You know, he knew it was coming. And then the number one team.
Oh man, Gonzaga. I mean, come
unquestionably.
On, yeah. Man, Mark Few's got it going on out west, man. I mean, to me, they're the unquestioned number one. I mean, Andy, it is kind of what it is, man.
Yeah. All right, so we've got Championship Sunday tomorrow. And I know you have obviously a vested interest in that one, since not only is it your Super Bowl pick, but it's also your favorite team. But, Steve, you are 0-6 in the last 6 games against these San Francisco 49ers. So tell me what's going to be different this time, brother, because I'm picking San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl.
I like your pick. There is pause to cause if you listen to all the noise from the outside. And what you have to look at is when the Rams played the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
And what was transpiring at that time of the season. The Rams are on the first meeting. They were 7-8-1, and then they kind of took it on the chin. You never sleep, you never walk into a slugfest with them. The difference between these two teams is the Rams' weakness. Truth be told, the Rams' weakness and the 49ers' strength is their defensive line. The Rams' weakness is the offensive line, and that's been the difference in these games. Okay. The Rams came out and started fast in week 18, but they had already secured the NFC Championship game and kind of proved the point in that first half to them, going up 17-0, and kind of took the pedal off the metal. San Francisco was a desperate team, and they played desperate. And I mean, my hat's off to them. They got after it. They went into Dallas and did what you knew that was a bad matchup for Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you look at the Green Bay game, I told you that was a bad matchup for them.
Yeah.
And on paper, it's a bad matchup up front for the Rams.
Okay.
The difference is we have Aaron Donald and they don't.
Okay.
And I've never heard this man not talk. He's not talking.
No. And like you've said all year, and I agree with this. J.J. Watt's probably going to win the defensive. T.J. Watt is probably going to win the defensive player of the year because he tied Michael Strahan. You know how voters are when it comes to stats and records.
Yeah, but any man that can see.
Every year, Aaron Donald should be the defensive MVP.
Period. End of story.
He actually should be the MVP, Steve. I'll go one more, and I'll agree with you on that because he is the best player in the National Football League, regardless of position.
Yeah. So,
all right, so there's that game. And for me, the reason I'm picking San Francisco is I just think that Deebo Samuel is going to be the X factor in that game. And I think that Matthew Stafford is going to throw an interception at the wrong time. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. All right, so that's my reason for San Francisco. Now, the AFC Championship, to me, I know Cincinnati beat Kansas City earlier in the year. However, that game really didn't matter to Kansas City. This one matters. It's at home. Mahomes' legacy has to have Super Bowls tied to it, right? The only way he can get one is to get in the game. Kansas City wins, and I don't think it's going to be close, Steve. I know Burrow and Chase are dangerous, but I think that they're going to dominate Cincinnati's defense, and Kansas City wins by 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to pay close attention to this game because history tells us when the Cincinnati Bengals go to the Super Bowl, who do they always play?
The San Francisco 49ers.
There you go. So I'm going to pay close attention to this game.
Very much so. You're going to be a little nervous if Cincinnati wins that first game, aren't you there, partner?
The Junior Rams, because that's who they are. They are the Junior Rams. That's Zach Taylor. If you watch the Cincinnati Bengals lineup, it's the exact same play calls. It's the exact same formations as the Rams. It's the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing.
Well, we showed it earlier, Steve, real quick before we get to our sound off. This morning, breaking news, Brian Daboll was hired as the head coach of the New York Giants. Obviously, the reason for that is to try to turn Daniel Jones into some form of a quarterback before they jump ship and go to free agency or the draft. But I have some information for you, my friend. My brother, as we've talked about before, is a season ticket holder in Jacksonville. And there's a lot of steam picking up and a lot of hype coming from social media as well that Byron Leftwich is going to be the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think that is the perfect hire for them. And the reason for that is he was waiting to see if they would fire Jacksonville's GM. They're going to do that.
Well, here's the thing. No. And do you know who the next man up is? Let me help you with that one. Adrian Wilson. Adrian Wilson is in line to get that job. That's how this thing's all been hand in hand. And that'll be the third African-American hire from the GM standpoint.
Yes, sir. Yep. Ansa, or I can't pronounce his name correctly. I apologize for that. But the Browns assistant GM got hired was it Minnesota that hired him?
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually think he's going to hire Brian Flores, and Brian Flores is going to Minnesota. That's my opinion.
Oh, no, I hear the leading candidate is Kevin O'Connell from the Rams.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll find out if the Rams are done. Well, they can. I think, don't they get to interview him in the weekend between the Super Bowl if they make the Super Bowl? I think isn't that one of the rules?
Yeah, that's how it's got to go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of rules, we got a time rule we got to stay on here. So let's get right to the sound off. And Steve, I talked about it a few weeks ago. We both talked about it. The Arizona Coyotes didn't pay their bill, right? And the city of Arizona says, okay, fine. This is what it looks like when you go to a Coyotes game, folks. Okay. This to me is the quote of the week in professional sports. Brad Marchand, who a lot of people know as a chirper, that's a term in hockey that likes to talk a lot of smack. He said the only way they get 5,000 fans at their games now is if they give 4,500 tickets away. So it shouldn't change much. Referring to the fact that they're going to go from a 17,000 capacity seat arena for an NHL franchise to a maximum 5,000 seat arena at Arizona State University. Look at these attendance numbers for the last 10 years. Atrocious. Don't let this one fool you. The one at the bottom is because they're the only city in the NHL that allow people in games because of COVID last year. Okay? So take that one off the list. This is a damn joke. The NHL needs to step in and take that franchise and its ownership out of Phoenix and out of Arizona. It's not working. It's an insult to all the other teams in the NHL, and it needs to be done before next season.
Well, my sound off is on Major League Baseball and its Idiot Writers Association, who is allowed to vote for the Hall of Famers. Now, this past week, they did not let Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens into the Hall of Fame, and now their names is off. Now, this is the man who has the most home runs to ever play the game, so I'm supposed to ignore that. And the man who has 7 Cy Youngs, I'm supposed to ignore that. But does that surprise me? Hell no, because I got 4,256 reasons to not believe in them because they haven't let this man into the game. Now, you trying to tell me that 3 of the most important people to ever grace your sport is not involved in Hall of Fame? You got to be kidding me. Cooperstown, this is why I will never walk into the halls of Cooperstown, because this here is a friends association. This is who you think. Now, my hat's off to Big Papi for getting in, but I'm supposed to think Big Papi is a first ballot Hall of Famer when Barry Bonds didn't get in and Roger Clemens didn't get in and Pete Rose ain't in. This is a freaking joke. And the only reason that your sport is not on the rock bottom is because Gary Bettman is a freaking idiot. And I'm out.
That's how you end the show, folks. So another one in the book, Steve. And I just think they keep getting better, man. We're starting to figure this thing out a little bit.
This is what we do, man. This is what we do. Hey, look, man. Hey, we're going to keep them rocking out, man. Hey, and until next week.
We wish you love
and peace. Deuces.